Here are the top stories for today, February 6, 2020. The government plans to decide on lifting the travel ban of OFWs to China in 2 weeks. The Labor Department plans to partially lift the deployment ban on Filipinos to Kuwait. The Department of Agriculture heightens its quarantine measures as an outbreak of African swine fever hits Davao Occidental. And Filipinos are encouraged to visit local tourist spots amid concerns on the effects of the 2019 nCoV on the tourism industry. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The government is set to decide within 2 weeks on whether or not to lift the travel ban on overseas Filipino workers to China and its special administrative regions. Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello said the 2-week window on the measure was upon the recommendations of Health Secretary Francisco Duque. Bello said if possible, he wants the travel ban lifted so that all OFWs bound for China, Hong Kong, and Macau will be allowed to leave. A temporary ban on OFWs to China and its special administrative regions was imposed on Sunday amid the outbreak of the novel coronavirus that originated in Wuhan City in central China. The Epidemiology Bureau of the Department of Health has located 203 individuals who had close contact with the first and second confirmed cases of novel coronavirus. Health Undersecretary Eric Domingo said of the 203 contacts, 15 are symptomatic and 14 were already isolated for monitoring. Domingo urged the passengers from Cebu Pacific Flight 5J241 from Hong Kong to Cebu on January 20 and 21, Cebu Pacific Flight DG6591 from Cebu to Dumaguete on January 21st, and Philippine Airlines Flight PR2542 Dumaguete to Manila on January 25 to cooperate with DOH representatives who will contact them for assessment. As of Wednesday noon, the DOH has reported a cumulative total of 133 persons under investigation for the 2019 nCoV acute respiratory disease.
Well, first of all, na-retest na lahat ng samples from other PUIs. So all of the samples that were taken before the test was validated and done here at RITM. Kasi dati sinasala natin, no? Hindi kasi lahat pwede nating padala sa Australia, no? May protocol ng WHO na kung ilan lang ang pwede mong padala. So pinipili lang natin yung talagang mga very suspicious. But since then, we have tested all of them.
Meanwhile, PCOO Secretary Martin Andanar on Wednesday called on the public to avoid sharing unverified information about the 2019 novel coronavirus acute respiratory disease. Andanar made the call amid the proliferation of fake news about the 2019 nCoV on social media. He warned that the spread of misleading information about the new type of virus that originated from Wuhan City, China, would only sow unnecessary panic and overreaction among the masses. Andanar said the Laging Handa Crisis Communications team has been tapping all government media platforms to provide the public with integrated information and updates from various government agencies with regard to the new strain of coronavirus. There will also be an hourly update through state-run broadcast media outlets PTV4, Philippine Broadcasting Service, and IBC 13. As more Filipinos become vigilant on the possible spread of the deadly novel coronavirus, measures are in place especially on port areas as well as in the communities. Benj Mondok tells us more.
In Antique, a no disembarkation policy for the crew of a Chinese vessel is implemented at the Semirara International Port as a precautionary measure amid the 2019 nCoV scare. The policy was adopted to prevent human contact. As of February 3, Antique has one person under investigation currently managed by an undisclosed hospital. The patient has a travel history to China. In Hong Kong, an OFW was quarantined following exposure to her employer who tested positive for the 2019 nCoV acute respiratory disease. The Department of Foreign Affairs on Wednesday said the Filipino is healthy and asymptomatic but needs to undergo a 14-day quarantine based on Hong Kong's protocol. In Dumaguete, a total of 11 Filipino crew members of a tugboat that arrived from China on Tuesday night were quarantined inside the vessel off the coast. The tugboat is one of 3 vessels that were purchased by a Makati City-based firm. The crew members are not allowed to disembark from the tugboat pending DOH clearance. In Misamis Oriental, an OFW from Hong Kong was put in an isolation room a day after her arrival on February 2. Naawan Mayor Dennis Lawa said he came to know of the OFW's arrival in the town following a tip-off from a concerned citizen who reported that the person appeared to be sick. DOH tested the patient and the result is expected to be available on Friday, February 7. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Bench Mundo.
Still to come, the Labor Department plans to partially lift the deployment ban on Filipinos to Kuwait. The Department of Agriculture heightens its quarantine measures as an outbreak of African swine fever hits Davao Occidental. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Ano ba ang sintomas ng novel coronavirus? Kung tutuusin, para itong trangkaso, kaya dapat doble ingat. Ilan sa mga sintomas nito ang pagkakaroon ng lagnat na may kasamang ubo, sipon, paghingal, at hirap sa paghinga. Kapag nakaramdam ka ng mga sintomas na tulad nito, huwag mag-self-medicate. Bagkus, agad kumonsulta sa inyong mga doktor. Pero may mga paraan para hindi na mahawaan pa. Uminom ng 8 hanggang 10 basong tubig. Panatilihing malusog ang pangangatawan at malinis ang kapaligiran. Lutuin ng mabuti ang pagkain, gaya ng karne at ng itlog. Huwag kalimutang takpan ng bibig at ilong kung uubo o babahing. Iwasan ang matataong lugar at ang hindi protektadong pakikisalamuha sa mga hayop. Ugaliin ang madalas at wastong paghuhugas ng mga kamay gamit ang sabon at tubig. Mainam na kumain ng mga prutas at gulay na hitik sa vitamin C para ang kalusugan ay mapangalagaan. Dapat armado ka ng tamang kaalaman at huwag magpapabiktima sa fake news. Ito po si Benji Durango nagpapaalala sa anumang oras at pangyayari, dapat laging handa.
The Labor Department is considering the partial lifting of the deployment of Filipino workers to Kuwait following a meeting between the Philippine Labor Delegation and Kuwaiti officials. Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III said the decision to lift the ban will depend on the Kuwaiti government's action on the cases of the overseas Filipino workers, including Jeneline Villabende's case. Bello said he is considering recommending to the board the lifting of the ban with respect to semi-skilled, skilled workers, and professionals. Last February 3, Bello, together with Undersecretary Claro Arellano, OWA Head Hans Leo Kakdak, and POEA Chief Bernard Olalia, met with Kuwaiti officials and signed a standard employment contract to ensure the welfare and protection of OFWs in the Gulf state. In our business news, the government remains vigilant against risks to inflation outlook after consumer prices rose to an 8-month high of 2.9% in January 2020. The Philippine Statistics Authority reported Wednesday that higher oil and food prices mainly pushed up the inflation rate to its highest since June 2019. The annual rate was 2.5% in December 2019 and 4.4% in January 2019. Socioeconomic Planning Secretary Ernesto Pernia said the balance of risks remains on the upside for 2020 due to the effects of the Taal volcano eruption, the spread of African swine fever, and novel coronavirus. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas projects inflation to settle at 2.9% in 2020 and 2021 within the government's target range of 2 to 4%. The Department of Social Welfare and Development in Bicol has allayed the fears of Pantawid Pamilyang Filipino program beneficiaries of being delisted from the program. The DSW said the household survey being held under the Listahan Household Enumeration Program neither determines beneficiaries nor delists households. Connie Barameda, DSWD Bicol's Listahanan Information Officer, said they are encouraging every household member to cooperate and not to fear being removed from the list of 4-piece beneficiaries. As of December 31st, 2019, the agency had assessed over 800,000 households or 74% of the 1.1 million target households to be assessed. The final list of poor households under Listahanan is expected to be released by August 2020. 4Ps is the DSWD's Poverty Alleviation Program, which provides conditional cash grants to the poorest of the poor to improve the health, nutrition, and education of children aged 0 to 18. Aside from the threat of the novel coronavirus, the government is monitoring the possible spread of the African swine flu, particularly in hog farms in Mindanao. Laid Kabagani has the story.
The Department of Agriculture Region 12 has stepped up monitoring on hog farms in South Cotabato due to the suspected entry of the African swine fever or ASF. At least 40 hogs from Suluk Town, Davao del Sur were called in Coronadal City on Tuesday due to possible ASF contamination. Dr. John Pascual, Technical Director for Operations, said various local governments have already implemented lockdowns to prevent the spread of ASF to the area. He said they also activated additional border quarantine checkpoints in entry and exit points along the national highways in Davao City and the provinces of Sarangani, South Cotabato, and Sultan Kudarat. Meanwhile, to prevent African swine fever from further spreading, the Department of Agriculture has heightened quarantine measures following an outbreak in Davao Occidental. DA Secretary William Dar said Davao Occidental has been placed on lockdown while the sale of live hogs and pork products from suspected ASF-infected areas have been banned. The local hog industry is losing about 900 million pesos per month due to the virus. In Negros Occidental, more swine have been sold in livestock auction markets last year despite the ASF scare that hit the country in the latter part of 2019. Figures of the Provincial Veterinary Office showed that for swine alone, there was an increase of 9.6% in the number of heads registered in 6 auction markets in the province. Dr. Renante de Sena, provincial veterinarian, said this indicates that buyers from neighboring provinces still prefer to source their hog supply from Negros Occidental, which has remained ASF-free. Negros Occidental, the country's top backyard swine producer, has a current population of some 550,000 live pigs. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Laid Kabagani.
Up next, the NCRPO launches a fitness program to get obese and overweight cops into shape. And Filipinos are encouraged to visit local tourist spots amid the concerns on the effects of the 2019 nCoV on the tourism industry. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Sa pinakabagong report na inilabas ng Department of Health, 80 pasyente ang iniimbestigahan ngayon at inaalam kung nahawaan ba sila ng nCoV. Sa bilang na yan, 67 ang naka-admit at isolated, habang 10 naman ang na-discharge na. Sa report din ng DOH, isa na ang namatay pero nag-negatibo sa nCoV, habang may 2 pasyente naman ang nagpositibo kung saan isa naman ang namatay. O baka magulat kayo kung bakit tumaas ang bilang ng suspected nCoV victims. Paliwanag ni Health Secretary Francisco Duque III, pinalakas ang surveillance system at contact tracing ng gobyerno. Umi-effort din ang Research Institute for Tropical Medicine. Sa kanilang sariling test, kinumpirma nila na positibo nga sa nCoV ang Chinese couple. Nasa 30 pasyente naman ang kanilang sinuri ang nagnegatibo habang inaantay pa ang resulta ng 48 pa. Pinulong na ni Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte ang Interagency Task Force, kasamang iba pang government agencies at resource person para mapag-usapan ng development at mga hakbangin ng bansa laban sa novel coronavirus.
Everything is well in the country. There's nothing really to be extra scared of that coronavirus thing.
Muling nagpaalala ang DOH na ugaliing maghugas ng kamay, magtakip ng bibig at ilong kung uubo o babahing, at pag-aalaga sa kalusugan para malabanan ng sakit. Para sa latest updates, bisitahin lamang ninyo ang Laging Handa Facebook page, pati na ang PCOO, RTVM, PNA, PIA, RP1, IBC at DOH. Alamin at makialam, huwag magpapabiktima sa fake news. Ito si Benji Durango, nagpapaalala sa inyo anumang oras at pangyayari, dapat laging handa.
The National Capital Region Police Office is ridding cops of their image as pot-bellied characters as it launched its intense weight loss program for police officers. NCRPO Chief DOLE personally led the Zumba dance as part of the Project BMI Reduction Program held at Camp Bagong Diwa, Taguig City on Tuesday. Sinas said every day until February 18, personnel will be weighed accordingly. On March 31, those who show no substantial change will be administratively relieved to undergo a summer camp in April. Participants will then undergo a strict diet, an obstacle course, exercise drills, and ballroom classes. The program aims to enhance the physical capabilities of police officers to make them fit to efficiently fulfill police work. Records show that there are about 3,000 to 4,000 NCRPO cops are considered obese and overweight. And in sports, the International Olympic Committee assures that the novel coronavirus outbreak will not disrupt the Tokyo 2020 Summer Olympic Games, with the year's leading sports events to be held as planned. IOC Vice President Ugur Erdener from Turkey said Olympic officials are currently monitoring the situation concerning the outbreak. Regarding Chinese athletes and coaching staff, Erdener said those who will be infected won't be allowed to enter Japan. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said this week that the government would make utmost efforts to ensure that the outbreak does not trouble the 2020 Olympics. Meanwhile, Japanese Olympics Minister Seiko Hashimoto said the Olympics organizers are not considering canceling the Games. The 2020 Summer Olympic Games in Tokyo will run from July 24 to August 9. The Tourism Congress of the Philippines is urging Filipinos to turn their attention on local destinations amid concerns on international travel due to the 2019 novel coronavirus outbreak. TCP President Jojo Clemente said the Philippines is still safe and the coronavirus has a low mortality rate at 2%. He advised that local travelers only need to stay clean, carry face masks, and wash their hands. Clemente said the TCP already met with some industry partners, and one of the discussions included the strong promotion of domestic travel. The Department of Tourism earlier said it will continue working with stakeholders and health authorities to assure that livelihoods reliant on tourism will return to normal. Meanwhile, organizers of the 48th Parao Regatta Festival postponed all its events set from February 23 to March 1. Mayor Jerry Treñas made the announcement Wednesday as a precautionary measure against the novel coronavirus. The mayor said they will decide if they will still hold the Parao Regatta Festival if the weather is favorable in March. The Parao Regatta Festival gathers participants to join the race of double outrigger sailboats known as Parao in the 30-kilometer course. Other events lined up for the festival are the slalom race, Sinamba sa Regatta, and Miss Parao Regatta, among others. To encourage students to nurture the love for reading books, the local government of Antique celebrated World Read Aloud Day with a live reading session and a tour of the province's mobile library. More on this from Ruth Abby Gita Carlos.
Antique Province joined the world in observing World Read Aloud Day on Wednesday with 50 grade 6 students of the Delegate Angel Salazar Jr. Memorial School as the audience. The Read Aloud session, held at the Sangguniang Panalawigan Session Hall, was led by SP member Errol Santillan, who read The Tale of the Two Birds, which tells the importance of keeping good company. The activity, spearheaded by the Provincial Library, which is under the office of SP Secretary J. Gabin, aims to encourage students to read books instead of spending too much time on computers. Gabin says, aside from this activity, the Provincial Library also goes to the barangays to promote reading through its mobile library. They also solicit from private donors coloring books and other reading materials for children, especially in the daycare centers, to enjoy. In his message before the reading session, Vice Governor Edgar Denosta said, students must make it a habit to read books so that they would become successful in the future. The annual World Read Aloud Day, a global advocacy that highlights the importance of reading aloud and sharing stories, marked its 11th year. The event is celebrated in more than 100 countries. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Ruth Abby Gita Carlos.
And here's another look at today's biggest stories. The government plans to decide on lifting the travel ban of OFWs to China in 2 weeks. The Labor Department plans to partially lift the deployment ban on Filipinos to Kuwait. The Department of Agriculture heightens its quarantine measures as an outbreak of African swine fever hits Davao Occidental. And Filipinos are encouraged to visit local tourist spots amid concerns on the effects of the 2019 nCoV on the tourism industry. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check out more news content, check our webpage or head on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day.